So, um, as many of you may know, the Rotunda here at the university is the centerpiece of UVA. When it was built in 1826 here on the lawn, it really did serve as that centerpiece that the entire University of Virginia at the time was built around. Most colleges and universities at the time built their universities around a chapel, centered around the church, but Thomas Jefferson believed in the separation between church and state, so he made an effort in focusing on that by having the Rotunda serve as a library, which was at the center of the university. Now, with all the significance in mind, one thing that is significant that happened along the course of the history is the Rotunda did catch fire in, I believe it was 1895, and what happened was actually the Rotunda serving as a library over years. Thomas Jefferson loved books, he accumulated books, and continuously piled them in. So along the lines after the Rotunda was built in 1826, they added an annex to the back of the Rotunda, which was this extra piece that was placed behind it that they used to serve more spaces and put more books in. In 1895, that library somehow caught fire. And so people started realizing it, classes started getting abruptly ended, people came out to the lawn, and they looked up and they're like, the Rotunda's on fire, we have to do something. So the immediate thought was faculty, students, everyone really came around and started trying to go grab buckets, anything they could use to run to the nearest water supply, grab it, and throw it onto the annex that was catching fire and spreading very quickly. At the same time, many of the professors and students who weren't grabbing water were running back and forth between the annex and other buildings to save as many books as possible. Now, in the process, they had the statue of Thomas Jefferson that was in the Rotunda, and they knew that this is a very sacred heirloom that they wanted to keep and was very important to the University of Virginia. So they made their goal to save it. So one thing that a couple of students did was they went, grabbed a mattress from the nearest room, and they used it to put the statue on and then slid it down the steps of the Rotunda and carried it. In the process of moving that statue, they actually chipped a piece on the corner of his jacket, and in all of the chaos of the day, that is actually the only part of the statue that did get damaged in the move, which is kind of incredible when you think about the scope of it. But kind of back to the Rotunda, still catching fire while all of this is happening with the statue being moved. The statue's safe, we're saving books, all this is going on, but the fire is still spreading. The water getting thrown on by the buckets is not enough, and we're still trying to figure out how to save it. And so, at this point, one of the professors at the time, his name was Eccles, his last name, who, ironically enough, we now have a honors scholars program named after him. He had the genius idea, being the brilliant man that he was, who we now have named the scholars program after, decided that the annex is on fire, and the Rotunda is the centerpiece of UVA. We want to save the Rotunda. The annex we can live without. So we need to separate the two. And so he ran to his room where he keeps a nice lovely stash of dynamite, which I'm sure is still a fire code violation to this day, and gets on top of the Rotunda, throws the dynamite down to the annex, hoping to separate the two buildings, preventing it from burning down the Rotunda. And as any of you who are hoping to study engineering or physics or architecture or really common sense know, it didn't work. The fire spread, caught the Rotunda on fire, and the Rotunda did burn down. And that is why the Rotunda is now legendary for its Rotunda fire.